everybody to our first ever online Prosper class. I hope you have enjoyed our series so far. This is the first time we're doing it online, so good job for joining us. You're here for a historic moment. Today we're talking about communication. It is such an important subject. In fact, if I were to ask people where do you use communication, people usually get lost, scratch their head and say, where do we not use communication? We communicate with our children, we communicate with our spouses, hopefully we communicate with ourselves too. We communicate with people at work, we communicate with clients, we communicate with people online. We all have some kind of device. Mine is right now somewhere hiding in the bushes, so I cannot distract you with it. And we do all that for communication. Oh my goodness, how much do we invest on every month on our communication devices? It gets pretty pricey, doesn't it? And all of that is happening. All of this is evolving and growing. At the same time, I think we're kind of losing touch a little bit with communicating one-on-one. Have you noticed that we are a little more texty LOL smiley face than face-to-face smiley face? In fact, there's lots of jokes about it because people who are just starting to join the technology communication wave don't always know what things mean. There was a joke going around that was taken out of somebody's life, sadly, and it was about the person who received a text from their mother, and the text said, "Aunt Sil has died, LOL." So the person who wrote the text went, something is not connecting. I know my mom loves Aunt Sil, so it couldn't be laughing out loud. So they called their mom and say, "Mom, what do you think LOL stands for?" And the mom said, "Lots of love, of course. What did you think it stood for?" So because of miscommunications like that, it is kind of important to dial in, wouldn't you say? Great. So today we're going to talk about a lot of things that help take our communication from miscommunication to communicating. Who is with me? Great. Awesome. The first thing that I want to talk about is something that a lot of people dread. Are you ready? Are you ready? Practice your scary face. Something like that. Okay, good. Got your scary face? Good. The word is responsibility. Go ahead, freak out. Yes, I said it, responsibility. Did you know most of the people do anything to avoid it? You might have experienced it yourself, right? If somebody wants you to do something, you will be looking how somebody else can be responsible. It's usually okay to do something for others, but not to be in charge of things, right? I know I felt that way. That's true. So, why would I talk about responsibility when I talk about communication? Good question. Think about this for a second. Go ahead and with me, wherever you are, reach your hands all the way out and lift your fingers. Great, you're doing awesome. You're right now looking something like a zombie who is carrying a really big platter of something. Now go ahead and straighten your arms all the way around, move them around, turn a little bit, see this nice little circle you're drawing? That is your personal space. It goes as far as you can reach and maybe a little bit below your toes. That is the place where you have full control over. Ta-da! I said the magic word, it's called control. Did you know that most of the time we get stressed about communication when we don't have control over the other person? True? Have you ever had somebody come to you and say, "Oh my gosh, this person drives me nuts. I never know what they're gonna do. They're so unreliable. They're so this, they're so that." Happened to you? I know it happened to me many times. And usually it's about somebody else doing something or somebody else not doing something. And usually that's what stresses us out. Because if we don't have control, how can we change things? And we may tell somebody about something, like you may tell your child to please take the garbage out, and they might even listen. They might even look you in the eye and said, "Yes, I will." And then a day or two later, you might find that the garbage is now 3 times more full than it was before, and it still hasn't been taken out. And if you confront the child, guess what they say? "You never told me to." Happened to you? Yeah, it's kind of a common thing, and sometimes it's not a child. Ooh, that's sad. So what can we do about this? Well, that's what the stressful part is. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing we can do about them. But the good news is there's a lot we can do about this person right here. And so a lot of techniques that I'm gonna teach you today have to do with this person right here. Well, right now it's me because I'm the one on camera, but for you, it is that person right there, the one watching. That's right. And aren't you the amazing one? Okay, so let's talk about what begins it all. If we take responsibility for our communication, then we have two things that happen. One, sadly, you don't have a lot of people to blame. That means no more pointing finger and said it's because so-and-so didn't do what they say, or because so-and-so didn't follow through, or because so-and-so didn't say it right. Yeah, it all becomes about this person. But at the same time, that means that you have full control over the results. How is that? How much would you like to no longer be driven back and forth and feeling up and down depending on how other people communicate? Yeah? How great would it be if you had full control over how you feel, regardless of what other people do or say? How would that be? I know for me, that made all the difference. So speaking of taking control over a situation, have you ever experienced it when you have just one of those days? You already start, let's say that you start your day kind of full of emotions already because stuff has been accumulating a whole week. And this day stuff just does not go well. Oh my goodness, you try to make it to the office on time and wouldn't you know that stupid guy in traffic just cut you off right before the red light? And so you had to wait an extra few minutes, and then somebody in the office say something mean about your hair, like their hair looks perfect, seriously? And then just more and more, and the boss was mean, and you name it, and holy cow, by the end of the day, it feels like you're so full of emotions, it's like ready to drip, and you come home trying so hard to keep it together, and and like your spouse or somebody comes over and say, hey, guess what you forgot to do? And you're like, forgot to do, let me tell you about this, and all of a sudden all of that just comes unloading on that person. Ugh! You feel so much better after that, don't you? Then the problem happens, because now that person is full to the brim because you just unloaded all your stuff on them. And so now they have one of those days and their significant other just yelled at them, and then the person comes, like a little person comes and says, mommy, mommy, mommy. And wouldn't you know that person just happens to put dirty fingers on something that that person just cleaned? What are you doing with those fingers? You watched, how many times did I tell you? Feels better, right? And now all of that is in a little one. Well, there's either another little one or some dog is gonna get it, but it just keeps on giving and giving and giving. So how about we teach you a tool to deal with this before you get to those you love? How would that be? What if before somebody comes and, like, because it wasn't really what they said, was it? It was the fact that you were so full that it all spilled over. What if you could, before coming home, do this? And come home in a safe way. That way, even if somebody went and jostled you, there's still so much room that nothing spills over. Well, I have a tool like that to you, and it is really, really simple. Not just simple, really, really simple. Here's what you do. You take a piece of paper and a pen, and before you go home, you sit down, it might be in your car, and you write down, I feel so frustrated right now, or whatever emotion you're filled to the brim with. because of blah 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 and because of blah 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 and that do and that stuff that happened and and you just unload all of that on paper. Everything. Do not hold back. Do not try to be super polite. You unload it on paper exactly how it comes. If some swear words happen to slip out, that's okay. Don't edit those. You just put it all there. Because next thing we're gonna do once you are done going there, what you do, again, I'm gonna back up a little bit. You gotta make sure you're alone when you do that before you go in front of other human beings, okay? That's very important because if you try to do that with another person nearby, remember what happens? You end up pouring that yak into them, right? So let's pay attention to where you are and not have other people there, all right? So imagine you're in a car, nobody else there, maybe you stopped at some abandoned parking lot and you recorded everything that frustrates you or everything that triggers that emotion in you. And when you're done, you look at this paper, you read it, and it's a good idea, again, if there's nobody there, to allow yourself to physically express it, to just yell it out and just, I gotta tell you, my steering wheel in a car gets hit a lot when I use this exercise. But that means that my family does not get to experience all of my blah. I tell you they're very grateful for that because sometimes there's a lot of blah to be going around. So here's your steering wheel, you just say everything to it. If you need to, you rip that paper to shreds, you go and smash it, you stomp on it if you have to, you let out all of that emotion, just ah! And when you're done, you gather yourself back together, you take a deep breath, and hew it out. And notice how all of a sudden you feel better. Then you can go home and you're not gonna get triggered very much. Isn't that great? Who's gonna use that technique? I'm gonna challenge you, use it for a week and see what happens. All right, we have one more awesome person presenting today. You might have already heard from him, might not. His name is Matt, and he's gonna tell you another really cool technique to do. It's really awesome. It's even more amazingly fast than this one. Who likes fast techniques? I know I do.
Hey everyone, thank you so much, Irina, for that. It's really exciting to be here with all of you and to teach you a little bit more about how you can communicate better and also to show you a new technique. We communicate in many different ways in our world. Ariana mentioned some of them. Some of them is with our voices, the things that we say, the words that we say, the pitch. Other forms of communication is through our body language. How we look at someone, raised eyebrow, maybe something with our hands. Some of us love to use our hands. How we stand, how we sit. All of these things we can do with our bodies, whether consciously or subconsciously, can project a form of communication to someone. Some of these things are good, some are not. Some we have control over, some we don't. What I am going to teach you today is something very much, I wouldn't really say it's more important, but it's part of the process that you need in order to be successful in your life. There are many things that we can communicate in our world. Many people, objects, animals, earth, whatever it is. But there is one thing that is most important for you to know how to communicate with and how to understand that person. Anybody have a guess? I'll give you a hint. It's up here. It's your mind. In 1983, there was an experiment conducted by Benjamin Libet, a neuroscientist. What he wanted to find was to see how fast the brain worked and how quickly it would send signals to our bodies and minds to take action according to our certain circumstances. What he found was truly remarkable. In his experiments, what he concluded, and according to the scientific information that he got, our bodies react 1/3 of a second before we're consciously aware of what we're doing. Think about that. Everything that we're doing, whether it be doing some activity, not doing anything, thinking, talking, singing, wherever it is, whatever we're doing, our bodies are reacting to those things before we're even aware of it. Have you ever had an experience where you went into a certain situation that you could probably do, but yet something happened and you were unprepared for it and you got fearful and you did not do it? I know I have. And I'm probably sure that some of you have as well. Have you ever had an experience with your children where you just got to a point that you were just so angry with them and you just shouted at them? And from then on, you always shouted all the time. And you can't stop yourself. But yet you want to. Your conscious mind wants to because you love your children. I love my children. I know that I shout at them, but I want to stop that. Have you ever asked yourself, wow, why did I just do that? Or why did I just say that? I know I have. I'm pretty sure that all of us have one time or another. How many of you would like to have control over that? To knowing, oh wow, in this experience or in this circumstance, I'm reacting this way all the time. It does not change. It is so hard to change. And the reason why it's so hard is because your body and those neurons are already being fired up. You can't stop it. It's basically developed a response that, oh, this is happening. We need to respond this way no matter what happens. And if it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter because it's safe. It kept us safe last time. That's how our bodies work. That's how our brains work. Now, some of these responses, they're just not valid anymore or are unwanted by us. And so how many of you would like to have control over that and change that? Before I get into the actual technique, I wanted to show you real quick something that me and Irina wanted to include in the video. And it's actually one of our favorite movie skits just because it's just so true to what we do, regardless if we're consciously aware of it or not. But take a look.
Hi.
Hi.
So, how do you like Greendale?
Fine.
And the school system, you find it adequate?
School hasn't started yet.
Oh. She itched her nose. I wonder if that was some kind of unconscious message to me that there's something on my nose.
That's funny. He wiped his nose after I
I don't
did.
really like school that much, but...
Maybe I got some dirt on my nose when I itched
kind
it.
of thing sometimes.
God, he's too embarrassed to tell me.
me.
I must look sickening.
There she goes again. What could it be?
Class
Dirt?
lunch,
Relish? Relish on my nose? How gross. She might think it's a...
usually Nazis.
Oh, not that. Oh, no. Please, please don't let it be a booger. Not now. Please, God.
Isn't that funny? But it's true though. Like our bodies are doing things that we don't want them to do, or makes us embarrassed, or our voices or actions, whatever it is. It's hard to control. And so here's now the technique that you can use to help you control that. This technique is called BWRT, or Brain Working Recursive Technique. This technique was developed by Terrence Watts, who's been a therapist for over 30 years. For all of you who are watching, I would love for you to participate in this because it is a really powerful tool that you can use throughout everyday life. Like you can use it anytime. What we're actually going to be doing is probably about, I would say maybe 1/3 of an actual session of BWRT. But believe me, you can use this, and it's called the emergency stop. Now, we say that is because you can use it for emergencies. However, in this case, we're not going to really be using an emergency, but it will still give you the same result as you would if you were in one. So, what I would like you all to do is that I want you to think of a memory that you know gives you some trouble, or that you know that each time you think about it, it just makes you feel uncomfortable in some way. whether that be through fear, anger, frustration, something along those lines, where you know that each time you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, each time I think about that, I get fearful, where it'd be like a spider crawling up your leg or something like that, or whatever it was that you experienced, that each time you think about it, those feelings get riled up, okay? Now, that being said, don't think of anything that's traumatic. What we're doing, this exercise that we're doing right now doesn't tackle the trauma experience. That's something else in BWT that we do. But yeah, just think about a memory that you know that gives you some trouble or makes you feel uncomfortable. Got it? Okay, awesome. Now, before we begin, what we're going to do with that memory is basically, in simple terms, press the pause button on that memory, okay? And you won't miss it. You can't miss it, all right? So now what I want you to do is that I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to think of a clock. It has to be a face clock. It could be an analog clock, a grandfather clock, but it has to have a face on it that has 12 numbers, an hour hand, minute hand, and a second hand. And the clock is ticking. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to send your mind to that troublesome memory. Just go right into it, looking through your own eyes. And as you do that, I want you to zoom in to the very worst moment of it. Just zoom right into the real nub of the situation. And as you do that, I want you to breathe in, hold it, freeze it. Freeze it solid. Make it as though time has literally stopped in which you can move, but nothing else can. Just freeze that memory solid, like a 3D model, frozen in time, or a glacier, just frozen in time. Just freeze it. And breathe out. Now, go back to that clock which you've created and notice how time has stopped. There's no movement of the handles. There's no tick-tock sounds. Like time has literally stopped. And if time has not stopped, just allow your mind to stop the clock. And once you have that vividly in your mind, you may open your eyes. Good. Welcome back. Now, go back to that memory. Check it. How does it feel now? Might feel different, won't it? For some, it might feel a little bit lighter. Some might feel indifferent, or even just, wow, there's no heaviness to it, or it's neutral. And that's the power of BWRT. Now, if some of you did not experience that, rewind this tape and go through it again. Make sure that you were able to visualize the clock, that you were able to freeze the memory, and also to stop the clock. Now, if some of you are still having trouble with it and you went through it again, that's excellent. It's just basically saying your body and your brain is basically saying that there's something else that's tied to that memory that needs to be addressed first, okay? And so a full actual session of BWRT will actually help you with that, okay? But again, though, this is what the emergency stop is, and that's all it is. It's that quick, it's that fast, it is that effective. So use it. Use it as much as you can. For example, say if some of you are afraid of stage fright, right? You're about to go up on stage and you need to address and communicate to this entire audience that you are just starting to get pretty anxious, right? Use this at that time and think of a memory, and it could be a memory that was like 5 seconds ago, or you just started to feel that fearful feeling 5 seconds ago. Just breathe in, hold that memory solid, just freeze it, okay? And it will work. And it will help you. I've used this many times for myself where I just didn't have enough time to do a full session of BWRT, and it was just like, oh boy, for some reason, I'm getting a feeling of fear or anxiety or anger, and I just needed to just stop, okay? You can use this. It's called the emergency stop. So think of the clock, think of your memory, freeze it, go back to the clock, notice how time has stopped, and that is it. My friends, thank you so much for allowing me to introduce this new technique with you. BWRT, Brain Working Recursive Technique. It's a very powerful tool. For some of you, if you would like to experience a full treatment of BWRT, get in contact with me through the group, through Prosper Series. And send me a personal message, or you can email me. You can go to BWRT Utah, that is my Facebook page, and send me a message there, or you can get in contact me through my email at info@bwrtutah.com, or through Feel Well, Live Well. If you feel that this technique is for you, give me a call and we can give you a free consultation to see if it is right for you. And I'm really excited for all of you to try this out. So thanks again. Irina, back to you.
Wasn't that a great technique? I know you're all excited to try it because it is so awesome when you have a powerful technique like that to work for you. Okay, so are you ready for one more piece of magic? Awesome. This one is used everywhere in sales, in communications, in a lot of people actually use it not knowing what it is. The technique is called building a rapport. Okay, now rapport is what it's called when two people are finding common ground in something. For example, have you ever met somebody and discovered that, oh my goodness, we actually went to the same school but never met? Has that ever happened to you? Or did you ever meet somebody and find out that you have somebody in common that you know, and you can spend hours talking about that person's quirks and the fun jokes that they tell and experiences that you had that are similar? Or maybe I had this happen recently. I was referred with my son to a dentist and found out that not only was I good friends with the dentist's stepmom, but he also was working in an office right next door to where I work. It was amazing. So those little things that help you feel closer to another person because of some common experiences is called rapport. Now there is a way to build that even if you don't have anything in common, and I want to teach you some of these techniques. Now in order to do that, you will need to be able to see the changes in other person's physical appearance. And there are minute changes. A lot of people say, well, I can't do that. I don't know if somebody is liking something or not like something. I cannot tell. So I have invited Matt here to help me demonstrate the point. All right, come on over, Matt.
Hi.
Hi. Everybody say, hi, Matt. So I'm going to show you that you too can tell the difference. Matt, can you think of somebody, a person that in your life you like really, really love that person? Can you think of that person?
Yes.
Okay, like you watch his face, yeah? Can you imagine them? Think about an experience that you had with them that makes you so grateful for them and just so happy.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Now, do you notice that his face just smiled? By the way, I did not tell him what I was gonna do. He has no idea what is coming. So, notice some things. Notice that he smiled. Or in other words, his corners of his mouth went up. The eyes kind of crinkled a little bit. The color brightened in his face. Did you notice that one? If you didn't, rewind and watch again. It's pretty cool. Now let's see what happens if we ask him, Matt, can you think of some person who really, really ticks you off, who you really dislike? And yet again, can you notice the difference?
Yeah.
And there is stuff that happens. I know he notices how his feelings change, but notice that you can actually see it on his face. You can see the corners of his mouth went down. Sometimes people get their lips thinner, like purse their lips. The eyes kind of get drained of color. The whole face gets down. Sometimes the head goes down a bit. So there are those physical elements that you can notice. Even the shoulders go down. All right. Now I'm going to ask Matt to think about one of those people, and you get to guess which one he is thinking of. Tell me when you're thinking about them.
Yes, I am.
Can you tell? Can you tell? I know I can. which one he's thinking about. Go ahead and comment inside on the bottom saying, I know who he's thinking of. Number 1 or number 2? Again, number 1 was the person that he was really, really liked, and number 2 was the person who he really disliked. Which one was he thinking of when I gave him a secret? Awesome. Thank you for helping.
Yes.
Awesome. So this is called using your eyes to see. In technical terms, it's called sensory acuity, because you are using your eyes to ascertain what has happened to the person when you talk to them. And this will be very helpful when you're building a rapport. Now, one of the things that is with rapport, basically in order to build it, we need to become similar in some way to that person. If we don't have experiences in common, or some areas that we visited, or some people that we know, what can happen is we all have some gestures. You may notice that some people keep their hands in the pockets. If I had pockets, I would put my hands in pockets now, okay, when they talk. So with those people, what happens if you talk to them and then after a while just put your hands in the pockets and relax just like they do? All of a sudden they will start feeling very comfortable with you. Or let's say somebody is talking to you and they're just playing with their hair. And I know for guys it's not quite as easy to play with your hair because it's all up there. But imagine you can like brush your hair or something, and that also, it's like a very sneaky way to build rapport with somebody, because you're doing the same thing in a slightly different way. And because you're doing the same thing, you again creating this feeling of connection with the person. Now here are a couple more things to match. You can match the tone of voice. Now I don't mean mimic them. Like if I were talking to a child, their voice is usually a lot higher than mine, right? I wouldn't talk to them like this. That would feel mocking. It would not be very nice, would it? But if their voice is higher in a register, I can raise my voice a little bit higher. So when I talk, it is more in a higher register of my normal voice. Versus when somebody is speaking in a really low part of their voice, then I can lower my voice. Again, I wouldn't talk like this. You don't want them to think that you're mocking them. But you can lower your voice to your natural lower register. Is that making sense? Great. Another thing you can match is breathing. That one is amazing because they have no idea what you're doing. Now the trick is when people talk, can you breathe in and talk at the same time? Let's see, let me try a little bit. Most people do not do that. So when you see a person talking, this is the sign for you that they're actually breathing out, and when they stop, chances are they took a breath while they stopped talking. So if you want to be really good and very subtle at building rapport, breathe out while the people talk, and then breathe in when they take a break. Is that cool? Okay, those are called ninja skills. One more way to build a rapport is to give a person a gift. I know you have experienced it when somebody comes and gives you a little something. Who knows why, but it just makes your heart melt, right? So, in spirit of that, is it all right if we give you a gift? Yeah. Matt is going to tell us a little bit later about the giveaway that we're going to do. I'm going to tell you about the present. Is that okay? Awesome. So the present is one of my favorite classes of all times. I hope you enjoyed all of the little tricks that we taught you today. Well, this was very little sample of what you get to learn at that class. The class is called The Master of Persuasion. Okay, how would you like to be able to persuade people in something that's good for them? As a parent, how important would that be to you? Or maybe you are in sales and you would like the people who you talk to actually listen to you and take action on that. How would that be? What if you had people in your care, like children or clients, who need some convincing in doing something that's already good for them and that they know is good for them, but they just can't quite get to it? How would it be if you had that one extra, level of understanding to be able to help them get there? Yeah, this class is amazing because we go in detail and in depth into a lot of different techniques about communication. You get to learn the reasons why people say yes, the reasons why people say no, so you can choose which one you can work with. Because if you know why people say no, wouldn't you be able to avoid that? What if you knew why people say yes? Would you be able to incorporate that? Oh yeah. What would happen in your life if you were able to become persuasive? And there is my personal favorite way of using that. I have this little thing here inside my skull called a brain. And sometimes, no matter how much I try, it just likes to stay stuck to its old ideas. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever felt like you want to try something new and you tried for like 2 days and then wouldn't you know you revert to the old again because the brain just doesn't want to do the new stuff? Well, what if you could use those techniques of persuasion to persuade your own brain to work for you and with you instead of against you? How would that be? That class will teach you a lot of those techniques. And honestly, it's one of my absolute favorites. One more thing, we're gonna put the link under this video where you can go and look at this class. Okay, so you will know how much it costs. It's not a cheap class, but we will do a giveaway. And some of the lucky ones will be able to receive a scholarship to the class. So comment below saying, I want this, because soon we will tell you how you too can win one.
Okay, everyone, so in order for you to receive the grand prize of the actual event, the scholarship to Master of Persuasion, to this awesome class, it's going to be really exciting to see everyone there. I know I'm excited, I'll be there. But to receive the scholarship for Master of Persuasion, what you need to do is that you need to go online to the Prosper Series Facebook group page. And what you need to do is that you need to invite people. That's right, invite your friends, family to the group, have them watch the video. And for those who join, the most people into the group will receive the scholarship. And so in order for us to count the points towards you, what you need to tell your people who are invited or who want to join the group page is that they need to do a personal message saying, hey, so-and-so invited me to this group, okay? So that we'll be able to keep track of how many people actually invited, and we'll be able to count those points towards that person so that they can receive the scholarship. Now, there will be 4 other people who will be able to receive a prize of a great discount to this class as well. There will be the grand prize, and then 4 other people will be able to receive a reduced package to this wonderful class. And so it's not just 1 grand prize, but 5 prizes for all of you who participate, okay? So go out there, start inviting people. We'll be able to get in contact with the winner for next week, so that we'll be able to count everyone. We're real excited to do this, and we're so grateful for all of you who chimed in and participated in this week's seminar. We really enjoyed being here with you, doing it online. It was a lot of fun. And we hope to see you next time on our free events next month. And we also hope to see you at our events, our 3-day event that we'll be doing as well this month and next month. And we just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. So good luck to all of you who will participate, and we'll talk to you later.